What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys a Week 7 match in the aABL, or the A-Drive Army Battle League, taking on Redthedemonhog and the Ohio State Barboach, in a fairly important match, sort of a must-win sort of match here for me. Essentially, what it boils down to is there's 3 teams tied at 5-1 in my conference right now, and then there are like 2 4-3 teams that played each other this week as well. So yeah, it's really important that I sort of maintain as much distance as I can from the 4th and 5th place teams so that I can secure a playoff spot, essentially, is what it's going to come down to. So we're taking on Redthedemonhog in the Ohio State Barboach. If you haven't seen the team builder, you should check that out. Let's run through his team really quickly here. He could have brought Jirachi, which he did. Circuitry, Kyurem, I was expecting both of those, neither of them came. Rotom-Heat, Moltres, Z-Moltres, I wasn't expecting either, but they both came, potentially to break Ferrothorn, which you may have been worried about. Guzzlord, Z, which didn't come and I was expecting. Mega Sceptile, Mega Sceptile, which I was expecting and I know is going to be physical. Z-Gallade, which I wasn't expecting, Celebi, Breloom, and Gyarados. I was sort of expecting Breloom over the Celebi, but this is fine because this team is just way weaker to Golisopod than I think I could have anticipated, or anyone could have anticipated realistically. Basically, without Gyarados there, this whole team kind of just loses to Golisopod. So it's got a really good offensive matchup here, actually. I'm not sure how aware he was of that, but quickly run through my team here. I'm a physically defensive Zapdos, Banded Golisopod, Life Orb Nidoking. I'm a safety goggles Xatu for the Breloom, just a standard Dragonance, Charizard X, and Assault Vest Slowking. So I'm just going to lead off with my Zapdos. No, I lead off with Xatu or Zapdos? One of them. I can't remember anymore. Zapdos, there we go. Because it had a good matchup against everything. I can stay in here on the Drapion. I thought about potentially doubling into Xatu on a T-Spike, but instead I'm just going to stay in. We chew the knockoff. Pardon me, let me just summarize this. We chew the knockoff. That's banded Drapion, by the way, based on that damage, and it also shows to be absolutely no bulk on the Drapion based on my T-Bolt damage. So it's probably running max. It's like Jolly banded Drapion. So I'm just going to start roosting and see if I can get a static para on this so that I can be at full health and kill the Drapion, knowing that it's banded. He's really not touching me with these knockoffs. I'm not getting any statics, and eventually I'm going to realize, my best play is probably just to T-Bolt this. I don't need a ton of health on this. It's a Mega Sceptile chick, which is why I want it to be full, but I'm going to pick the right turn to actually attack. Now, had I clicked Heat Wave, it would have been a little bit better, because I would have been able to two-shot this Jirachi, but T-Bolt is enough for me. T-Bolt is enough, and we're going to get Iron Head Flinch turn 1. And then I'm going to go for a Heat Wave, I believe, here, and we actually break through and we connect, so I get a ton of damage off on this Jirachi. It's looking like it's Scarf, based on me not seeing an item. And we're actually going to find out that it's not, based on him switching up moves, first of all, Drain Punch, and then flinching me with Drain Punch. So he's actually King's Rock Jirachi, which is super weird. And because I'm not running max speed Zapdos, I'm not speed tying this. But I still haven't gotten a single static proc, which is kind of annoying. So on his Protect here, I'm just going to roost up. So now I'm at full again, and he's going to fail on the double Protect as I'm going to be able to pick off his Jirachi. It would have taken him a really long time to break through that Zapdos, and then he's actually going to get the Poison first turn with Poison Jab. So that works out, right? I mean, Zapdos gets 2, and I'm up 6-4, but I'm a little bit disappointed that I had 8 potential turns where he had hit me with either Jirachi or Drapion. Static didn't proc a single time, but then the 30% Poison Jab procs on the first try. I'm not sure what that says about my luck or how things are going to go in this game, but I thought that was a little bit silly. So now what's going to happen is the Celebi's going to come in, and I'm just going to switch on the Celebi into my Xatu. I figure he's either going to go for Rocks, which he actually does, and I get the epic Magic Bounce play off, making it look like I'm just an absolute lord. Obviously, Rocks are really valuable against the members of the team that I brought. Xatu, Zard, Zapdos, and Golisopod all weak to Rocks. So Rocks was a fairly predictable play for the most part, but also Psychic was kind of what I was anticipating there. I'm going to make a little bit of a weird play, and I'm not going to U-turn. I'm going to click Toxic instead, I believe. Yeah, so I could have clicked U-turn there and caught the Moltres switching in, which would have been okay, but it doesn't really matter because I have a really good pivot in my Slowking. He's going to burn Z-Fire, which I had no idea what this was. It doesn't really matter because my Slowking is always going to be able to 1v1 this. A little bit surprised that Air Slash is doing as much damage as it is. He's probably very offensive. But I'm maybe going to be able to get the Future Sight off and kill the Moltres. So I'm up in a really good position now. Something's likely going to take the Future Sight, and it's probably going to be this Rotom. So I'm just going to go into my Nidoking on what I expect to be an electric move, and it is the Volt Switch indeed. And we're going to see exactly what this Rotom set is, popping the Papa Berry with the Future Sight. So that's really solid. I brought Rock Slide for this and the Moltres. Turns out it was completely irrelevant, because Sludge Wave actually did more than Rock Slide to both of them. Like always. So Rock Slide was... Excuse me. Rock Slide was just completely irrelevant because Sludge Wave was doing more to both of these Pokemon. And so I'm going to actually be able to pick off this Rotom here with a Sludge Wave, as he's going to get the Defog off, which means he's a max speed Rotom-ish. I was a very fast Nidoking. I was outspeeding Xurkitree. So it was a fairly offensive, fast Rotom. I'm going to get my Celebi, or my Xatu back in on his rocks, as he's going to U-turn, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to Toxic again. So we get the Toxic off on the Mega Sceptile there, which is perfectly fine. I'm just going to double into my Slowking, expecting like a Dragon move, but he goes for Leaf Blade. So I was trying to play for the 6-0, and that play sort of stopped it, I guess. That was a very odd play to me. I don't know why you'd want to click Leaf Blade against a Xatu. It's not going to kill the Xatu, and I could have had HP Ice or something. Realistically, I didn't, but I could have. I had Dazzling Gleam, which I was considering clicking. Realistically, I probably would have just clicked U-turn and U-turned into my Gliscod every time, but instead, make the more convoluted play, sack off the Slowking, and Gliscod's just going to claim one. Both of these Mons are absolutely weak to Bug. I was considering clicking Leech Life instead, because it meant that I would have been able to stay in and try and kill the Celebi as well, but he clicked U-turn against me for some reason. It was a pretty easy pivot into my Zard, either on Rocks or Psychic or whatnot, and then Zard's going to be able to clean up the game here with the Flare Blitz. So, pretty straightforward game. Everything at least saw some airtime on the team, which I was fairly happy about. I still think the Leaf Blade play was really weird, and I'm not sure how I would have been able to predict that ever, but we're going to pick up a 5-0 win, which is super solid over Redthedemonhog and the Ohio State Barboach. Next week, we take on my good pal Jed and the Adelaide Overheat. He was originally not in the league and then took over a team for he took over the Wraith for Bombies. It's a super neat Coco Memo team. He's used a few of these Pokemon together before, like Coco Regular Sceptile he's used before. I'm not sure if he's ever used Coco Lucha, but it's kind of a nice mix of defense, utility, and offense to an extent. It's maybe a little bit lacking on the offensive side. Mons like Hawlucha don't really have the best way of killing things without setup. Same with Coco. So it's really like Mamoswine and Mega Blastoise that kind of power through things. But it's really scary. Now, it is the end of the transaction period at the end of this week, and I did make some that I'll probably discuss in my team builder for next week as well. But I ended up trading away Diggersby for Hippowdon. I dropped Keldeo for Excadrill, and I dropped Xatu, which made its debut and isn't coming again. I dropped Xatu for Passimian. So I gained my fighting type back, which is super solid. I get rid of another water, which I felt was sort of opening me up to things like double grass types being brought against me, which, to be honest, was perfect because Mega Charizard X just feasts on grass types. But I don't really want to, like, have that, you know, especially against a Coco team. Now, against the Coco team, I'm not even sure if the Coco's coming against me. Like, I have triple ground. Triple ground. I only have I have 2 waters. I'm down from triple water to double water. But one of them's Gliscod, which just uses priority anyways. So I'm not entirely sure what the... I still have double grass as well. Excuse me. The way the drops work and whatnot, we had to transfer the Z user over to the Pokemon that we dropped or traded. So I have Z Hippowdon and Z Excadrill now. It's not the end of the world. I probably would have much rather not used either of those as Z. Granted, Excadrill Z is pretty good, but I'm looking forward to having another kind of gigantic threat on the team in the Excadrill. Granted, I think this makes my team really physically biased, and I didn't really think about that until probably about now. That getting rid of Keldeo really does make me physically biased. So I think you're going to see a lot more physical walls brought against me in the last couple weeks here, the last few weeks here. Essentially, I need one win out of my last 3 to clinch playoffs. That's essentially what it's going to come down to. I have a 2-game lead over the bottom two. Over the bottom 2 guys, and so as long as I win 1 game, I have head-to-head over both of them. So as long as I win 1 game, I should feel fairly comfortable sitting in the playoff spot. Whether that's my week 8, week 9, or week 10 is still up in the air, but that's sort of how the season is going to come to an end here. So if you enjoyed, feel free to check out some more, and I will catch you guys for our team builder against Jed and the Adelaide Overheat.